Hello and welcome to Mini Terrain Domain. I am not the usual host, as I have been in contact with Jake, and he has graciously allowed us to guest host tonight. And this will be a reoccurring game that'll be happening on the second and fourth Wednesdays. We'll be playing Spire, a game written by Christopher Taylor and Grant Hewitt, two phenomenal writers. Here's the book for those who are interested in such things. So this will not be Dungeons and Dragons. This will not have any kind of domain dice shenanigans, but otherwise will still be a good and wholesome mini terrain domain kind of stream. There will be adult content in this game, so if that is not your cup of tea, you will have to perhaps not watch such a thing. With that being said, we can just go around the clock and we can introduce ourselves, as this is probably the first time a lot of us have been here in such a congregation. So to start, I am Connor Davies. I'm going to be game mastering this. And then we'll go to Megan.
Hello everyone, I'm Megan, also from Dice on Ice, and today I will be playing Saren.
You can go to perhaps to Jeff.
Yes, hello everybody. My name is Jeff. I have a channel. It's called Encounterbalance. I actually don't even know if I've said this publicly yet, but I can. I'm also part of Tabletop Terrors now, so check that out as well if you want to see some YouTube stuff from that. I'm going to be playing Lycaos.
Hello, I'm Lloyd. I run YaldM on YouTube, and I'm going to be playing Iskandar, who's a firebrand.
Hello, I'm Philip. I'm going to be playing Wexen Cross, who is an inksmith.
We start in a place that is dark and cramped. The sound of dripping water, runoff, cast-off water of a ruinous mess, dripping, as if we're in a cave. But there is no natural stonework in this place. No, we're in a massive city, the towers miles high, that is shoddy built. It's been cannibalized for parts and repurposed elsewhere. If someone flicks it the wrong way, perhaps the whole spire would be knocked over, but it does not fall. It is not burned to the ground through some calamitous, accident. Earthquakes don't topple it. Storms never touch it. It stands precariously yet true. We are near the base of this spire. It's where the humming and drumming of thousands of factories, all on full throttle for a war effort happening to the far east in the sand and desert of a foreign nation. This place is occupied, this spire, by high elf nobility who perhaps are outnumbered 10 to 1 by the actual residents of this place. Dark elves, or drow. But not drow of the Forgotten Realms where they worship, Lolth or something. No, they are much more ordinary, yet they have the same similar features. They are just the cast-offs of society. They're always impoverished and just stepped upon by the law of this place, by the immoral high elves that, through their regal rulings and their strange morals, always put them down in their place. We're down in the base of the spire, down in the machine area. Even further yet, where factories have been built over derelict factories, over top of derelict factories. Deep in one, this place glows green in areas with phosphorescent fungi. Weird pools of impotable water kind of stagnate. Pipes that lead to nowhere, and buildings that have half collapsed in this place. We're in a smaller room now. There's masses of white fungus that kind of grow and cling from the walls, something known as spire white. It's kind of a strange tumor mass of fleshy fungal growths. And in this smaller room, closed off from all areas, are you four. Agents of the ministry, a secret sect of revolutionary freedom fighters, part of some hidden religious cult that will upend the High Elves and put the drow back into place as the rightful rulers of Spire. And in this dark, cramped place, perhaps lit by some garbage fire, what is it like in this hideout of yours, hidden away from prying eyes? Because no one would go down here in the deep works, the places forgotten and buried in factories derelict and places ruined. How about you, Philip? How about you, Wexen Cross? What is it like in this place?
It's warm and moist from some broken, rusted steam pipes that go through the center of this derelict machine. It's the muffled sound of gears just grinding against each other. And the light is dim and orange, casting shadows across the face of my companions.
And all of your faces, perhaps, are dour today, as all of you have shared a strange collective dream. This is startling and unnerving, even to the most well-versed of ministry agents. Your Magister, a subtle blood witch, contacted all of you in your dreams, not to betray her own presence in the material world. The message she gave you was cryptic, though through your Spire, through your ministry cipherings and understanding the strange zoetrope aspect of the dream itself and the images that cross your vision, and even the strange lucidity that one has once they wake up from a dream, you know that the Grey Manors, a group of investigators, all freelance, people who look into things, detectives, they seem to be getting a bit too close to the ministry's trail, though through what clues and what tracks they actually have, you're not privy to, as that part of the dream is left obscured. And you know that, and the Magister told you to somehow divert the Grey Manor's attention from the ministry through any means necessary before they get too close to the truth. And knowing this is a task, but done by a cell of ministers, you four, to be done through your own agency, through your own actions and choices. The ministry never bothers interfering and controlling you and micro-manipulating you for fear of being too exposed. So you may do with this as you wish, though if you're bad agents, perhaps something sour will come of this. And secrecy is of utmost importance. How does Lycaeus react, knowing that he's shared a dream with his ministry cell companions?
Yeah, Lycaeus is like sitting on the ground, cross-legged, with his back against the wall of this thing that they're inside of. He's kind of holding on to this piece of rope, flipping it around, and as like the edges touch, they'll like tie together as if by some magic trick. And then he'll just like pull at it, and it'll come untied again, as if by some trick. And he'll pick up a flask off the ground that's like tipped over, clearly empty. But then when he picks it up, it'll slosh again, as if by some magic trick. He always seems to be doing these things that seem impossible but mundane. And he'll like take a sip of it, emptying it out, and set it onto the ground. Just kind of look to the others. I'm guessing you all saw that too. At least I hope so. Although I guess I wouldn't be surprised otherwise.
Iskander is pacing, not in like a caged animal way, but in like in a deliberate way that will draw attention, the correct amount of attention that he wants. And then he'll stop so that they look in his direction. And this is like his real weapon, is getting people to look at him or not look at him. And he'll like take 2 quick steps over to the bound and like pick up the cup or the flask and take a sip and sort of like incline his head. Brother, and like have a sip. Something foul. Greyman is. How best to deal with them?
Yes, who watches the watchdogs, as it were? They have all the information, it's their job, but we have to go beyond that. Be something else that they can't see or know. And yet find out what they have anyways. And he'll take the empty flask from your hand as you had like finished off the last sip, and then he'll like slosh it around anyways and take a sip from the empty flask, which will have something in it still, and he'll like set it behind him. Just kind of like put his hands up and look over to the other two for ideas.
Saren sits. Her face is studded with these pale silver jewels almost. She looks around, her eyes portray nothing. You almost would think that there's nothing behind them to begin with. But you all know better. First, I think we must decipher what they know. How far have they come in this realization? How far are they down this rabbit hole? We don't want to inadvertently give any more information.
It might be useful to know which of their agents is involved. How many of them, if it's all of them, or if it's just one. And if it's just one, then he meets an unfortunate doom.
Yes, if it's just one, then it's easy.
It's never just one. It'd be too easy. We need to figure out, too, how they're getting this information. If they're getting it from a person, if they're getting it from a text, a paper. Someone somehow is either feeding them information or is being too brazen, drawing eyes that don't need to be looking.
Wexen will scratch his stubble. Yes, information. Perhaps we can be their new source of information. Control it, give them hints, maybe lead them astray, maybe lead them into our hands.
That may be a good countermeasure at first. But I think it only a matter of time before they become too close to us, and then we become a target. But to save us some time, I think that should be looked at.
We'll need to be careful about how many people know our voices, see our faces, our names. The more things that we have out there about ourselves, the more people recognize us. The more we become the focus, and just like you say, it's not a good look. People who get recognized don't end up surviving very long around here.
Your conversation is interrupted with a patterned knock. The sound of hollow metal ringing out throughout this dank chamber that you find yourselves in. You know this knock well. This is the knock of Sol, your quote-unquote landlord, that lets you kind of squat in this place, no questions asked. He does not enter, of course, but he has signaled his presence.
I'll look to the others and go, I think. It's usually my MO, is the smiles and the handshakes.
Saren would quickly look over any sort of table that they have just to make sure there's nothing, no notes or anything like that that may happen to be showing.
We might have like a game that we keep on it to make it look like we're playing. You know, we can quickly just like throw that down and lean over.
So you
And
scatter
Chaos
these.
will put away his rope. He'll stand up. He'll pull one of his last 3 cigarettes out of a box and light it up. Even though we're in this like container, he doesn't care. And then he'll kind of start kicking stuff around to make it look like a mess instead of anything organized.
Yeah, Skander will go to the entrance of this place and sort of like fling the door open and smile. Sol.
And you see on the other side is a man, a drow, whose one eye is scarred over in a long scar, suggesting some kind of war wound from it. You know this man to be a former soldier. And this drow, yeah, all right, don't mean to intrude here, but I know you kind of put your noses where they don't belong. And I got a problem for you. If you're going to be squatting here any longer, which I'm fine with, but I have other people that are actually willing to pay me for the spot. And kind of like, he looks around, kind of like around your shoulder a bit, and he sees like one of these masses of white fungus flesh growing out of the side of the wall. How long has that been there?
I'll do that sort of thing where like he moves and I move with him. And not in like an intimidating way, but in the sort of like, we're playing, me and Sol, we're pals. And I'll put my hand on his shoulder and say, Sol, don't worry about what's in here. You know, we're not even, like you say, we're not even paying you. And so there's no concern involved. We'll take care of it.
Oh, you know what they're saying about that Spire weight stuff. It's full of diseases and people walking, coughing fits, spreading like wildfire. Probably want to burn it before it infects any of you guys. I was saying,
you wanted us to do something for you.
Yeah, I had half of my workshop just fucking blown up last night.
Well,
and, I don't know. It's 3 of my workers dead.
That's just awful. So
I was asking the ones aside, and they're all shaken by it. Some were saying it was the damn gutterkin running around the works, and others are saying it's some kind of cultist person with bombs strapped to their body and yelling all sorts of preachy things. I don't know what to think anymore. But gotta look into that, or else this whole thing's gonna go under. So I need my workshop back up and running. And I don't want that to happen again.
We are friends, are we not, Sol? You and I, we have been through a lot together. I've sat at this door many times. I will not let you down. Don't worry. We'll investigate. We'll see what was involved and who was involved, and we'll have your vengeance for you and your answers.
Thanks. No, seriously, you should probably get rid of that. That's
yes.
Before it starts blooming or something.
Of course. I will be on it immediately.
All right, well. He kind of waves and bids farewell and kind of like watches his step as he steps into something he shouldn't have on his way out, because this place is a grimy place, far beyond any kind of maintenance down in the deep works here. It's almost some kind of just wilderness resort, but completely unchecked.
I'll wait till he's taken a few steps and sort of do that thing where like I'm like waving as he goes, and if he like turns it back, he'll still see me like, bye now, we'll take care of it. And then I'll close the door and turn around. This is poisonous.
Chaos will like let out another burst of smoke and like turn the cigarette around and like press it into the fungus. And then like when that unsurprisingly like does not burn it away, and instead just extinguishes it, he'll just like let it fall into the ground. Just kind of like do that shrug of like, I did all I can do.
Did you hear that? Sol has some sort of issue, an explosion, 3 dead.
And he wants us to, I'm guessing, find the people involved, get vengeance, or at least prevent further complications.
That's right. Figure it out.
It seems we are at a crossroads of our attention. No place to stay is not ideal. But the Ministry is at risk. And that, I think, is far larger than this. And she kind of stamps her foot down, and I can imagine just this grimy dust just kind of puffs up, and you hear the metal clang of where they are. Whatever this is.
There is no crossroads here. Not that I can see. Without Sol, we have no place to meet with the Ministry, and failing them, we have no place to breathe.
I can go talk to my contact, Snub-nosed. He's a gutterkin. He might know whether it was his folk or potentially who it was, if not them. I also might get a torch so we can burn this fungus off, and I'll kind of scoot away from it.
I think it adds some much needed aesthetics to this grimy place.
It's a little poison. It builds character. Makes you tough.
How
I'll
about
say it like this way. You can't tell if he's being serious or not.
How about I just paint you a pretty picture instead, Iskandar?
Well, that would be nice. Just something. Make it feel homey.
Either way, I agree. Piss off Sol. We find a new home. Piss off the Ministry. We don't live anymore. And that seems, at least to me, like the bigger problem. But to be honest, it also seems like the more difficult solution. We have almost no leads on these people. They're going to be organized. They're going to be knowledgeable. It'll be tough. Meanwhile, a couple of bandits, brigands, religious people, whatever they are, might be quicker at the very least, if not easier. Do we have any good leads either way?
I can speak with a guard that I know about this explosion, but as for the Grey Manors, I know little.
Did Sol say they think it was a man who had bombs strapped to his chest, spouting all sorts of nonsense?
He said potentially that or Gooderkin, although he always thinks Gooderkin.
That sounds like something Brother Mateus might know. He's into that extremism. Let me ask him quickly. And Saren's eyes would close. And you suddenly hear her muttering under her breath, not a full whisper, but low enough so that if you wanted to hear, you would have to lean in a bit. And then you hear another voice. A voice that is so completely different from her own. Just muttering. She opens her eyes again. Brother Mateus thinks that it may be the Church of the Gun. Lucky enough for us, he is a part of it. One of a low level. That is another lead.
There's much to do then.
But nothing on the Grey Manors. heard anything about them at all? Maybe like even a whiff of a meeting place or somewhere that they may congregate or anything?
You know that the Church of the Gun has a newly established shrine and chapel made of entirely slag, of bullet casings, melted down, broken firearms. That on the outskirts of almost this walkway that happens through the works, where there's dozens of shrines of dozens of different furnace gods, and they've been quite an eyesore of late. They've probably moved in within the past month or so, spreading their gospel of bullets and gunpowder, much to the chagrin of most of the occupants here, and especially the religious folk.
And what about the people who are trying to figure out or trying to get close to the ministry? Do we know anything?
You know that the Grey Manor estate is a group of detectives, freelancers. Almost anyone can be hired there for some kind of secretarial task. They work for anyone, anything, and have a kind of a main hub down in the quieter area of the works. I mean, quieter is kind of a hard word to use in the works themselves because of how the humdrum. But usually kind of squat in the middle of all the various printing presses, as they source probably all of those.
So I think at that Saren would actually look to Wexen. We might have an in through you, perhaps.
Yeah. Generally, I don't fraternize with their kind, but I think I might be able to get something. So, who do I see kind of loitering around?
Right now in your hideout?
Oh, sorry, I thought... Okay. So was this when you're talking about the printing presses and stuff?
That was just because Megan was wanting to know what the place is like.
Yeah, just where it was, and yeah, he had mentioned that, or Connor had mentioned that they do bring in people to write. Is that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I can tone down my writing style a little bit. That would appease them and their lowly circulator. I'll go and see if maybe I can toss them a quick story.
Is it possible to hire them? Ask them to investigate something for us? Get one of their agents alone? And find out what we can?
Would we know what kind of fee they command for that sort of thing, Connor? I don't actually know what we have in terms of money or not.
So money is handled through your silver stress. So money is kind of abstracted. And the more you accumulate silver stress, the more kind of debt you'll accrue as you're pulling in money and favors from all your contacts and people that kind of support you. So money is abstract in this game. What you do know, however, about the fees of Grey Manor is they have a reputation of always wanting to be paid upfront, no matter what. And it seems honorable or a bit shady, but it probably they even have a sign literally outside their gates that you've probably seen is like, want something looked into? Pay us and we'll look into it. Kind of slogan.
Yeah, so Lachaeus will kind of nod along then. We'd have to fork over a little bit of money up front, but if we're just going to be talking to that person anyways, then perhaps it won't be quite such an investment. But as he's saying that, he'll kind of like turn out his quite empty pockets and just kind of shrug, looking back over to the firebrand.
Iskander is similarly poor, in silver at least. Well, he wouldn't let anyone know that. He would say, perhaps that's not such a wise idea.
I too have a bit of silver saved up, bit of coin saved up for my durance.
Paper pays pretty decently. I'll have some coin I can muster up as well.
So then we go to hire them. We ask them that we need them to look into something for us. We give them some money up front. He'll look over to the other two who have offered that they in fact have money, as he says that. And then what do we have them investigate? Or does it even get that far before we do other things with them? He'll kind of trail it off.
And we could have them investigate the explosion. It's already quite problematic. We might break 2 bones with 1 crunch, if you will. They can do the work for us, and then we can pull this person aside and find out what we can. And maybe they suffer an accident or go missing.
Accidents do seem to happen near me to people who I don't like. Maybe something unfortunate befalls him. As he does that, he'll like twist this like dagger around in his fingers, as if it was like a pen and he was a board office worker. And it'll like cut his fingers as he does that, but he just won't even care or acknowledge it before kind of grabbing it by the hilt, like face down, and just kind of shrugging back.
If you're able to keep him alive long enough, I can also be of assistance. I may be able to pose as a worker there. But I need to see him for a while.
A less permanent accident then, like Chaos will smile. Pulling at like the ropes that are like tied around him, being a bound. He has like these like red corded ropes all over.
If I was a Grey Manor and I knew something about the ministry, I would keep that secret from all of the other agents. I would keep that my most desperate secret, because the ministry has I'm certain to even those who don't know it, reputation for being well hidden. And things that are hidden are things that are dangerous.
People's memories are not great. Everyone has to write something down.
There is some sort of bureaucracy involved in their process too.
And if the information has come out at all that they know something somehow from someone, and clearly it's not one man hiding secrets away, they had to have done something with it, or else nobody would know. It is a very lucrative and dangerous secret, though. It will be difficult to find out who specifically without some coercing, I imagine. And he'll look back over. If we can infiltrate more subtly than that, pose as one of them, could be a way to gather information without anybody being the wiser. In worst case scenario, we have to do things the old-fashioned way. I can get into places pretty easily myself, though not quite as quietly as in the kind of like.
Perhaps it's wise to take our time with this and try to infiltrate and find out what we can from the inside. It might be a good way to gather information in general. And if that doesn't work, then we can try the more serious option.
So then, we hire them to look into this explosion for us. Might as well, if we're already going to be with them. Use that to gather information, help our buddy Sol out. Meanwhile, if we can grab this person alone, we make something happen there. We infiltrate using other methods. It seems like a good starting point, at least.
There is another route. We investigate this thing with Sol. I'm sure it won't be that complicated. And then we go to the Grey Manors and tell them that one of us is an excellent investigator and discovered what happened with this explosion. Then they join Grey Manor, and it'll be easy for them to wander around that place. And then we find documents, find who knows this thing. It would be quieter, probably. Less things that lead back to us. And less dead brethren.
You guys might also be able to make a bit of coin with that too, which would be nice.
It can't be me that does it. I'm too recognizable.
It would be difficult as well for me, for the other reason. I am very not recognizable, as it turns out, and I'd prefer if it stayed that way. It's more useful. If people don't know who I am, it's more useful if... Yeah, sorry.
I can become very unrecognizable.
I think it should be you, Saren.
Very well. I do, although still need someone to study. But it doesn't necessarily have to be someone from Grey Manor.
Let's begin investigating this explosion and go from there.
I can have Brother Matthias ask around the Church of the Gun, see if anyone saw anything or participated in anything.
I'll go speak with the guard that I know. Wexen, go speak with your Gooderkin friend.
Well, easy with the friend.
Who knows what you associate with.
Well, then it seems as so far that I am jobless in this. What do you think? I can go check out the place that it happened, see if anything's been left behind. Look for clues.
I think that's good.
Agreed. When should we meet back here?
What's a reasonable amount of time to get around this enormous megacity and expect to be? I don't want to say 4 days if it's a 20-minute walk, and I don't want to say 20 minutes if it's a 3-day journey. So
you'll be on foot, and this area is perhaps just a district of a city. All of these locations that you've mentioned are within the works themselves, which is, at maximum a 2-hour to 3-hour walk from any place to another place. So even doing by nightfall or in 2 days' time would be reasonable options, depending on how in depth and alone you want to be at any given time.
Evening, then.
Sarah nods, and she would turn to leave. You can already see her skin begin to wave and to almost undulate as her form begins to change. But she leaves before it can fully take into effect.
Yeah, I like Chaos will slide open the pack of cigarettes again, and there's 3 in there. Even though there were 3 last time he took one out, and he used that one, there is still 3 in there somehow. And he'll kind of hold out the box to the other 2 people left in here. Smoke before you go. And he'll slide one of the 3 out into his own hand.
Yeah, Iskander will take one. Doesn't have any fancy tricks. He'll just begin with a knife and some of the gunpowder in his pocket, just loose, enough to light a smoke.
Thanks, but I'm trying to cut back.
No problem. He'll close the pack and put it away. And then take a drink from the empty flask one last time before putting that away as well. And then walking out the door after Saren.
I imagine we each have or there's a set amount of time that we wait for each other to leave so as not to kind of draw attention to our hideout. And Lexon will wait for enough time to pass after Chaos left and then go find snub-nosed himself.
And so we will start with Iskandar as you go to communicate with your contact. This is Orofon, city guard. And after a brief amount of trying to track down where he is on his shift, he's outpost currently by himself, overlooking just the actual Pilgrim's Row, some call it, although it is the real Pilgrim's Row is somewhere higher up in Spire. This is almost like a satire of that name that some people use. But this place, just a brief overhang of some shoddy work together metal, welded in places and taped in others, where he leans back with perhaps a bit too much drink for a city guard shift as he overlooks.
I'll have stubbed out the smoke basically as soon as Lachias would have gone, so it looks like a mostly intact smoke, and I'll put it in a pocket so that I can offer it to Orofon when I meet him.
You can see him perhaps, so he's at the top of one of these ring staircase things that's around a building on top of another building. He's sitting back in a chair that's a bit too lounging for a proper shift, with a little stool of 2 emptied drinks and one that he's currently working on. He has a pair of binoculars made of human crystal that he's not using, draped around his neck by a cord. Perhaps
I'll
he's
be
napping.
Smiling at people as I walk by and shaking somebody's hand, how's your family? And then making my way up and knocking quite loudly so that he can appear to be doing his job correctly by the time that I get there. And loudly loaded, bung, bung, on the metal steps until finally I'll squat down in front of him. Orofon, how's your family?
They're good. Good. All right, what's someone like you coming down a place like this?
Social
He's using these crystal binoculars of human make, pretending to look over the crowd of pilgrims and religious folk, though perhaps he doesn't care at all. You know this man.
Nothing serious, just a visit to one of my dear friends. Smoke? And he'll produce it from a pocket and hand it to him. It's only a little burnt at the top.
He just snatches it from you. Thanks. and lights it up and takes a huff.
Listen.
Yeah.
There was an explosion at some guy's factory. Did you hear about that?
Yeah. Yeah. We got briefed on it back in the HQ.
It's crazy.
Fell asleep during that though. Sorry, man.
Yeah. Some of our brethren died, it seems.
Just another day in Spire.
You didn't hear anything about what caused it?
Well, that's the thing. Been posted here instead of my usual spot because apparently we're supposed to look out for people. Gutterkin, actually. I don't know why I use the word people. That's the wrong word to use. They're blaming it all on their little rat folk and little shitheads, so they are. Suppose we're on Gutterkin watch now. There's something going on. It's been gunshot wounds. A lot of people in the infirmary from nasty bites, gone septic. A knife gone astray. Someone's ankle got broken from tripping over one of the damn runs. They're everywhere now. Didn't have this problem fucking a year ago.
They're coming out of the walls. I'm
coming
sure.
Out of the fucking walls.
And so the city guard believes that it was Gutterkin. That's what you're saying?
I fell asleep during the actual briefing. Of
you
what you're talking
think
about.
it was Gutterkin. You think that.
It's always a fucking Gutterkin.
I see.
That,
yes.
One of those damn drug dealers. They've been making my life my hand fucking hurts from all the goddamn paperwork I gotta do for those all the cabal of Malik dealers that are around.
I mean, speaking of, you don't know anyone.
I think I'm gonna just stay quiet for right now, Just lamenting how light my pocket is. It's a tragic day.
I see. Well, yes, I suppose your family is well enough, but they could always be better.
How everyone can do better in this shithole.
Well, I mean, perhaps a couple of Sten would see you inform me about where maybe you know a guy, maybe you don't know a guy who knows something
and
about
this,
some Malik
and this will be a compel roll from you, please.
Yeah.
In
good at this.
In the order domain, and you are acting on a bond. So once per session, you can choose to use this bond to get a master on this roll.
Okay. So I have compel as a skill.
Yeah.
I have this guy as a domain, right?
You have him as a bond, right? Yeah.
A bond, yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, but it's order. Okay, yes. I have crime and high society. So I have 2 dice?
It'll be 3. You always
3.
have 1 base dice to roll.
Okay, so 1. Okay, yes, I see 3.
So
Okay.
if you roll 3d10, pick the highest number of the bunch, and that's what your result will be.
2 10s, so 10.
Perfect. So that's a critical success. So you know what? For old time's sake, yeah. All right. Well, I got a guy. He's down at those blind spider clubs, speakeasy down under on the deep works.
Mm-hmm.
Dancers, singers, knoll bands, all that shit. It's called the Imago. Probably know a guy. I know a guy there. He's goes by the name of Drez.
Very good. Well, I'll be sure to tell everyone to feel a little bit safer now that you're up and watching the place. I'm always telling them that anyway when I see them, that this place is safer because Orifon is watching us. And he is a pillar of the guard. He'll sort of come up from squatting and just put his hand on Orifon's shoulder for a second, and then look from up on this perch where he already gets to have a look around, just a quick scan to see what kind of crowds are around and who's looking in this direction and who's not. like deliberately not looking in this direction and things like that, which is something I guess that he'd be good at. He'll just do a quick sort of scan before like doing like a cool guy, hold on to the middle pole of the stairs and like spinning his way down.
And as you're looking out, you literally see, as speak of the devil, some gutterkin run through, snatch someone's coin purse of sten, and break for it and jump into a little hole in the ground that probably wasn't even there before. His long ears, this runty thing, you don't know if he's like half rabbit, half weasel or something. Ears kind of get stuck and plops down and finally falls down, and the sound of coins tingling kind of echoes in the place. And there starts a commotion of a person trying to like chase after this damn gutterkin, reaching down into that hole and exclaiming, "Ah, damn thing bit my finger!" But that scene kind of almost ends as they realize how frivolous it is to chase a gutterkin down a arm-wide hole. Oh, before you go, just be careful. They've been putting a lot of pressure on us, drow. This talk of unionizing, I don't know.
Wouldn't that be a shame if we all worked together for some common purpose? What a disaster that would be.
Well, you know how it is for us. If we find anything like that, we gotta stamp it out.
I know.
I don't want to have to stamp out your fire,
I don't start any fires. And he'll like nod and then turn and like into, I guess, what is like a tide of people in all directions, just be gone.
And you see that person with their bitten finger. And then we'll move on to the Sir Matthias, or Brother Matthias, sorry, the cover of Saren as a acolyte of the Church of the Gun. Yep. All right, so you take 3 mind stress from casting this spell as you take on the identity of another. And now here's so taking stress, every time you take stress, I will have to roll for fallout. And what I do is I count. You have to tell me how much total stress you have in all your things that isn't being allocated into a free spot. So you just took 3 stress right there. One of that will go into your mind slot, which means you'll have 2 left over. If you have more mind slots than that, if I'm wrong, then it'll all fill into there first, but then all the leftovers get stuck in your total stress area. So it'll be 2, right? So I have to roll a d10 and get under a 2. If that happens, you suffer a fallout from this. If not, then you are fine. And luckily, I rolled a 3, so you're safe now for the time being, as your shattering of identities doesn't wear on your mind quite yet.
You see, out from an alleyway emerges a man with long, shaggy, gray hair, a beard that would come down to his chest, but small bullets have been braided and rolled into the hairs of his beard. He wears a fused, almost like a plate, a breastplate, just of fused guns. He has these markings, these tattoos all over his body, some quite gruesome. One of someone's head being blown off, the other of a skull where the teeth are made of shell casings. He walks towards the Church of the Gun.
And you see a similarly Mad Maxian preacher, a man who wears nothing but the actual, strange rags soaked in oil and Spire black, a nasty tar substance used as shoddy gunpowder, wrapped around his loins. And his nakedness is studded. Even part of his skin has, these weird welded-in, cauterized bullets, kind of studding his skin. And he proclaims to a crowd of very much not pleasant people that ignore him, "Come one, come all, to Brother Hellion's Church of the Gun. bathe in the glittering majesty of humanity's greatest gift from the gods, the firearm. He just literally shoots off some bullets, some rounds into the air. Captured fire, awaiting ignition and gunpowder. The holy rotation of chamber and barrel. He just breathes in the gunpowder smoke. The blessed incense of gun smoke. A bold and righteous power in the palm of one's hand, greater than one could ever imagine. Mighty lines of cannon roaring their defiance at the world, stamping man's dominion over the unholy beasts of creation. Each year, the sacred works of the retro engineers in Gwyn and Four University uncovers more and more secrets hidden away within the workings of these perfect ancient machines. Come worship, believer, and have your sacred tools blessed by Brother Hellion. Brother and perhaps in the crown of flintlock, whose very breath is gun smoke, and whose tongue is barrel hot with the fires of creation. That is what he preaches in this moment. No congregation besides one curious and unfortunate soul listens to this. Otherwise, this man is alone in a simple shrine behind him, a shrine devoted to Brother Hellion, littered with like stapled pamphlets on whatever walls there are nearby of Brother Hellion's true church down on Kiln Street, an area of Red Row, down Spire of the works.
Sorry, just hold on 1 second. I just lost internet for like a minute. Oh.
Not like this.
No.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Oh, that was a close one. But
Was my long speech just too much for Twitch?
Apparently they couldn't handle it.
Too powerful, too much energy.
I just want to make sure we're back online. Sorry. I think we are. Oh. Yeah, the internet is down right now. I'm bailing and I'm going onto your network.
Okay. I'm still connected to our home router right now.
Oh.
Yeah. Maybe I'll be the one to go next.
Perhaps.
Yeah, it's weird that we can still hear you and stuff, but that you can't stream.
Yeah.
I undid our sacred network tetherings with a powerful gun speech.
Yep, should have been praising the wires.
Praise the wires, the one who connect us all.
Yeah. Oh boy.
All right.
Oh, boy.
And that's where we'll take a break.
Are you currently streaming, Megan, right now, or no?
You are not.
No. The internet is still tea right now. Yeah.
So hard when you have internet issues. It's just like the most frustrating problem because there's no fixing it, and you just have to sit there and like continue to try. You know.
So our router upstairs should be fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Jake's saying I might have to restart the stream. Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, it says most recent video, so that is finished, like that video.
All right. Well, we're
It's
still
like that section.
Yeah. Well, we're still locally recording, so nothing was lost, which is nice.
Oh, nice.
Okay. So I'm gonna everything is still not looking great. I'm so angry.
It's the worst. I just have
It's just
sympathy because it's just like the most frustrating problem, and you have to keep trying anyway. And you're just like,
I just want to fix it.
Yeah. Literally, the only answer is just to sit there and like click again. Nope. Click again. Still nope. Well, I sure hope this fixes itself. Like, there's nothing you can do.
All right. I think we're back online.
we are indeed.
Hey.
Fantastic.
We're only slightly in the wrong spots, and that's fine.
Oh, I see that.
Sorry, everyone, for the minor technical difficulties. We had a little bit of an internet blip that caused our streaming to go crashing. Otherwise, we have just finished the fun speech of one of Brother Hellion's acolytes, spreading the word and gospel of Brother Hellion and his holy gun smoke. This is a crowd of bustling people, overlooked by one of the guard watchtowers that Iskandar had briefly talked in. This is a hustle bustle of pilgrims and religious folk, praying to their own many gods of many different things. There are many shrines and churches to be found on this row, such as shrines to the Forge Father and the Hearth Mother, which are aelfir, high elf, gods of creation, the Bound Seraph of drow mythology, the Masterless Mask, a dark elf folk hero, and Carnadine, the fallen sister of Azur, Kuzruk, whose bones are mountains, Yeleth, the Dragon Sultan, who is the heart of every machine, a god of the East, whose religion was brought to us by the Knolls, Malak, a towering giant whose spiral black eyes know only cruel profit, and of course the machine heart, whose church dominates place here and has a moat of running lava, of molten slag, and just a great hot thing. And at the center of the machine heart's chapel are laboratories and great, just a center of knowledge of engineers and retro engineers, and even just the crazy faithful. But you are standing here at this small little shrine, a derelict little thing, shoddy and just gross in retrospect to all these other works. Brother Matthias, you are yourself an acolyte of the Church of the Gun, seeing before you a brother spreading the gospel. What would you like to do?
I can imagine that a common greeting with the Church of the Gun is to take out your pistol, to spin the barrel, click it back in, and shoot in the air. If the gun goes off, it is a sign of good fortune. But if it doesn't, then that is not good news. But most people of the Church of the Gun never have even a bullet missing from their chamber. Can you guys still hear me? You guys are all frozen. Did I cut out?
No, you're so far so good. Just robot-y slow. You seem to be caught up now, though.
Yeah.
So you're firing off a bullet in the air, but your gun may not even work. And maybe you don't even have a bullet in it.
Well, blessings, brother.
And to you. He pulls out his pistol and fires. And it, of course, it's got a lot of bullets in this thing. Just the cracking. And the bullet just like ricocheting off of stuff. Pings and pangs. And a gutterkin actually falls. This person is mangy, brown-feathered gull person. Kind of splats dead. A bullet between the eyes, somehow.
Brother Mateus would do the same. Spins the barrel, locks it back in, shoots a couple in the air. How's the other folks been treating you?
Quiet crowd tonight.
Did you, receive any new brothers or sisters to the cause?
Oh, absolutely. Got a whole gang of gutterkin just lining up, wanting to smell our gun smoke. They're loving it.
They always do. They're one of the most devout.
Your praise.
Now, it's been a couple days since I've been down here, brother, but, I hear some shit went down. And I wasn't a part of it? No one told me that someone was, shooting up that, sorry, what was it again? What is it called?
It would be just Sol's Works is what it's called.
Oh, okay.
A little small workshop.
Sol's Works?
I frankly don't know what you're talking about, brother. That man's a good man. If I even know if we're talking about the same soul, probably 6 of them rocking down this very road right now.
Oh yeah, you got a bad soul, you got a good soul, you got a purple soul. Every kind of soul.
Yeah, we're all blessed souls here at the Church of the Gun.
Praise be! But, you let me know if you hear anything. I've been, itching to fire off a few of these rounds.
Oh, didn't you hear? We're all congregating next month down on Red Row. We're having a big congregation. Brother Hellion himself's got a big plan for us.
Brother Hellion himself, you say? Oh, boy. I wouldn't miss that for the world.
As he walks and breathes, fires.
As he fires into the... as he fires shining bullets into the beautiful sky above.
Damn it. I mean, of course, he'd be wanting to be able to shoot a bullet all the way through this fucking spire and beam a nice light from the actual sky himself, bring him down. Oh, I'd see that. I'd pray to see that. Preach.
You know, I heard a brother who actually did see that. Brother Hellion himself.
Oh! Praise Brother Hellion. Very clouds in the sky from his own gun smoke, from his rootin' tootin' days down in the wars of Far Najub, and from laying it down on those derelict scum down on Red Row. Pew, pew, pew. He just shoots more rounds up in the air.
Brother Mateus would, sorry. Brother Mateus would join him, and I can almost imagine that it's almost like in sync where they begin shooting, and then they both inhale the smoke.
Ah, sacred ins. Self.
Do you think that their gutterkin, they've been a little gun happy lately? Have you heard anything about that?
Well, they call themselves the United Noblies Front. And they've been loving those little guns. They've been rootin' tootin' shooting our praise all around.
Praise be those little gutterkins.
Oh, praise be. Them blessed souls now. They were lost before they found the gun. I'm glad our missionary activities have been doing mighty good with the natives here of the works.
Have you ever thought about travel around the works? Some of those small shops, like Sol's. Trying to convert some of the good brothers and sisters down there.
I feel like my other brother's doing that already good enough here. My blessed duty is to watch this very shrine.
Remind me of the brother's name again. I'll go give him my thanks.
Well, there's one of the many brothers, my good brother. His name, he goes by the name of Drez. Brother Drez.
Praise be Brother Drez. Well, it was nice to see ya. Good to see you spreading the good word. And I'll see you. I'll see you at Red Row. We'll both see Brother Hellion shoot a bullet so far up, we'll see the moonlight above.
Ah, bless. Blessed bless. And with that, you leave this strange man to his strange worship. All right. We will move now on to Wexen Cross. You're meeting up with Snub-nosed, an aptly named gutterkin, for he has no nose but one narrow slit. It seems as if he had some weird birth defect, where his nose was in sideways and one was caved in. It has this one little nostril. He's a runty little thing. He's scaled like a crocodile, and has almost like a kobold, you could think of him as, though his face is flat and not snouted. And his teeth are needle-pointed, but half of them are missing. And he's chewing on a rat, just one cooked on some kind of dumpster fire on a stick made of, tetanus-filled rusted metal. He's in the deep works, close to your hideout. Down the Black Canal, a weaving river of polluted water that's all festering and pooling from the many factories above. And in this little place, the smell of shit just assaults your nostrils. It's his cave.
I'll start to approach Snub-nosed, and I imagine he makes eye contact with me, and I keep walking closer to him, and I'll kind of lean up on the wall next to him. How you doing there, Snub-nosed? You're looking lovely today. I see only the finest food for you. Lovely. Well, I'll reach into my inner coat pocket, pull out like a little memo pad, flip it open. What kind of info you got for me today?
What kind of magic you got for me today?
Come on now. You know
Me
the rules.
craves the magic I once said.
I'll go and reach into a different pocket and kind of just flash the container of Malik to him. Got it right here. And hold it out. And as he goes to reach for it, take it away. You know the rules. Give me the info first. And I'll start to go down my list of tabloid headings. What do you know about this aelfir who is said to fraternize with humans as a perverse pleasure?
Eh? Nothing.
So we'll kind of cross that off the list and continue to proceed down this rather lengthy list of stories that I know snub-nosed won't have information to. And then I'll get to, okay, well, you seem pretty useless. No Malik yet. How about...
He reaches behind him, kind of like scratching his back. And all of a sudden, pointing a gun at you. Malik, now! Gives me the Malik! As he points this gun out. A revolver. And you can see it in his chamber. It has at least 3 bullets in it.
Do I think I'll be able to, like, is this something that he's done to me before?
You've never seen him with a gun before. Okay. How he had the capacity to even buy or find a gun, you've no idea. This is very new. And you can see how his hand isn't shaky, as if you can even see like weird, like awful stains on this gun, but it looks like he has had it for, or at least cherished it very recently.
Holy, easy there, snub-nosed. Here, take it easy. I'll kind of like open the Malik canister and put a little in my palm and hand it to him. You're gonna hurt someone or yourself.
All of it, the whole thing. All of it.
Look, you gotta give me something useful first. I don't imagine an esteemed drow such as myself would be too intimidated by...
You want your head? You keep his head if you give me Malik.
Okay. I'll put the rest in the canister and I'll go to hand it to him, kind of holding it away just far enough so that he'll have to go and reach for it. And when he does, I want to try to take the gun from him.
Okay, that is going to be a roll then. You will have to make a steal. So it's going to be steal plus low society roll here.
Okay, so one of my domains is low society.
Awesome. And I'm just going to quickly check to see if you get how bond works. Because you're not really helping him out, you're like acting against your bond. No, so if you are acting in a way that benefits someone you would share with a bond, then you can do mastery. So no, this is not a benefit towards them. All right, so that's going to be a total of 2 dice then, because you have 1 base dice and then you have the low society dice. So roll 2 dice and tell me what the best result is.
A 9.
A 9 is a success, which means that you're able to yank that gun out of his hand. His hands are slimy, hopefully just from natural reasons. But just kind of slimes out, and you can even like see a weird mucus on the hilt of this gun. And brandished on the side of this gun, you see like just carved into it, perhaps with some kind of knife, perhaps, is the symbol of a bullet, just on the hilt.
I'll kind of shake
No
the.
gifts, mine.
Calm down. It'll be okay. Where did you get this?
Meathead gives.
Now, why would they want you to have a weapon like this? I'll say, kind of like examining the pistol or cleaning the goo off of it.
Meathead brings revolution. No more.
Ah, revolution. Okay.
What do you want now, huh?
How would you go about bringing the revolution with one gun? They give a lot of these out?
Many guns. Meathead have many guns. Silly humans give all of Nobly's guns.
Silly humans indeed. All right. So right before I give Snub-nosed the Malik, I want to use my Nose for Trouble ability, and once per scene, I can ask the GM what's weird or out of place here.
Okay, so the thing that is most out of place is that, well, he has a gun. But secondly, actually, you can see kind of on his scales, some of them are actually smeared, this is new to you, smeared with some kind of like gunpowder oil black ink stuff to make kind of like patterns that have kind of all kind of washed off or smeared and smudged from time.
Okay, Snub-nosed. Here you go. Here's your Malik.
Gun two. Meathead not happy if Snub-nosed lose gun.
You said you've got plenty of guns. I'm sure he can give you
Meathead.
another.
No. No, each Nobly one gun.
I'll tell you what. If you show me who Meathead is, then I'll give you this gun back.
You want picture?
Sure, that'll work.
And he just like dips his hand into something slimy on this kind of part of the deep works. His hand is now covered in it. He just draws the crudest, most childlike drawing of a stick person whose head is way too big. That's Meathead right there. He looks exactly like this. See, he's big head, Meathead, big head.
Ah, that looks like all the humans. You'll have to point him out to me.
No, not human. He Nobly too. Meathead.
Okay. Well, I'll give this back to you, but
Meathead live up.
Up.
Yeah, he's up. In tunnels. Many tunnels. All Nobly tunnels now.
Okay. I think that's enough to go off. Thank you, Snub-nosed. And before I hand the gun back to him, I'll take all of the bullets out and then give it back to
He
him.
does not notice the missing bullets. He like licks like just the barrel of the gun, like where the bullet would come out, with his weird forked tongue, and it kind of crawls back into his little den of strange gatherings. From there, we'll shift the scene over to Lake House, as you know where Sol's works or his workshop. It's seeing it in person, you've probably seen it before, but it's so small compared to these megalithic factories that surround it essentially in all of the works here. And this thing is just a tiny little 2-room workshop, and you can see that half of it is just blown to bits. The rubble and refuse and just singe marks scatter the back half, where the actual workshop aspect of it would be. It's been corded off with some kind of this rope, and the place the works itself has on the front closed for maintenance on the front of it.
Yeah, like Chaos will kind of raise a surprised eyebrow, seeing just the depth of the damage that's been done here. And even though he had heard that it was bad, significant even, it's still like, oh wow, that's pretty bad when he actually sees it. But he'll just walk up, completely ignoring the signs that say that it's closed and the cordings that are holding it off, and go to actually approach.
All right. Yeah, I'm able to easily just duck underneath the ropes. And in this place, seems to be no one here at the site, though you see the 3 charred bodies on the ground still, kind of in these strange poses as if they've just been blasted and land in a heap somewhere. And you can give me it would be technology plus investigate roll. Or even crime plus investigate roll to really investigate this place thoroughly from corner to corner.
Perfect. So I don't have investigate, but I do have crime. So I think
Right.
that's 2 dice.
Yep, that'll be 2 dice.
Oh, perfect. That's a 10.
A critical success. So you find the following things at this place. There is a trap door underneath a kind of a workspace desk where you see the remains of machinery to fix together whatever, a welding unit perhaps. You're not quite sure what this workshop actually built, but there's this trap door hidden away kind of through planks and this bolting of metal. The 3 charred corpses here, they are all missing the top half of their skulls, and where the skull ends is almost like a clean, almost surgically done cut. It's not been cracked open. They miss the top half of their skulls and all of their brain. There are the remnants of the actual place. You can pick it up, smear it, and smell it. It smells of Spire black, this grimy tar substance that accumulates everywhere in the works, just in the corners, like dust or something would in a normal place. And Spire black is a poor man's substitute for gunpowder, as it is extremely flammable and explosive. And you would also note that there are tracks in the soot and aftermath that suggest that someone was here, and the prints actually walk from corpse to corpse to corpse and then leave again.
And he'll just kind of walk around slowly, kneeling down to look at all these different things, and then seeing the details on the bodies taken away. Kind of raise an eyebrow curiously. Clearly this was done by a person intentionally. It's not a result of the blast, which seems strange to him. Is there any sort of signifier that might lend itself to him knowing, like a prominent group that would have been known to do anything like that, or no? Would this be a surprise?
You could. Do you have any? What kind of domains do you have? Do you have the academia, occult, or religion domains?
No, I have crime and low society.
Yeah, so then you have no clue here.
Yeah, I imagine as a bound, he's used to catching a lot more common criminals, like thugs and assault and people, actual just people doing things, and like this sort of thing is like beyond his normal scope of operation. So it'll kind of catch him off guard. But then trying to take note of everything as best as he can. I guess he'll go over and look. The tracks, do they lead away, or do they do the tracks and the trapdoor have any sort of interconnectedness, or do the tracks go completely in different areas from that?
They are not connected at all. It actually seems like, so the tracks look like they entered from the actual opening in the blast zone, walked from corpse to corpse to corpse, and then left the way they came in, further away, and then the tracks disappear as they're no longer walking through soot and rubble.
So real quick, he'll kind of peek down at the trapdoor and see if it's open. He'll open it up to take a look, just to see what's there, just in case. But otherwise,
and it is a bit kind of stuck at first, and then you're able to actually get it open with no issue after seeing that it's a bit stuck, and some soot and rubble kind of fall down and clatter. You see that the place down in this trapdoor is lit. Actually, you see the kind of the flickering of perhaps like a gas light illuminating the area, and there is a ladder inset into the actual wall, as it's been welded into the wall. You can kind of climb down, almost like a submarine port thing kind of style, down into this basement.
Yeah, he'll do so and kind of take a quick look. I don't want to necessarily go too far in if this is like an entire area, but he will take a quick kind of look around, since it is lit, especially to see what this room would have been used for. If it's like a hallway or a specific storage area or what.
And what you see down here is what looks like, what it would look like, what you would imagine a Holocaust bunker looking like. Rows upon rows of preserved foods in these like these grimy glass jars. A cot made of hopefully bird feathers that's going to be stuffed into place. And the smell, it smells of mangy dog down here, as well as you see like a chamber pot and other signs as if this place has been lived in by a person.
Doing a super quick scan, would it be obvious if anything was like missing, like entire sections of shelves that are gone or anything? Like, did somebody take a lot of stuff from here, or is it just, does it seem regularly stocked or used?
It actually seems fairly unstocked. There's shelves are mostly bare with a few items each on each shelf. It's definitely not prepped for the Holocaust, so to speak, but as if someone had prepped for the Holocaust and then like ate through half of the stuff that's there.
He'll quickly check the empty spaces on the shelf to see how much grime and dust has accumulated, to make sure that like this place wasn't like robbed of all this stuff, and that it was just poorly stocked. But if that's the case,
it would be the latter. It would seem like to be poorly stocked more than recently robbed.
Yeah, he won't spend too much time down here then. He'll climb back up the ladder and shut the trapdoor, leaving it for the moment. But keeping a note that it's there, he'll want to tell the others about that just in case. But I think his first objective is going to be, while the tracks are still here and they're not grimed over by the next layer of whatever disaster will happen in this place, we'll try to follow them. And if that needs anything, I do have the pursue skill as well.
It'll definitely be it'll be the pursue skill. And it'll be the crime domain, since you're following the track of a crime. So it'll be 3 dice for you.
Yeah, 3. Oh my god, that's 2 10s and a 9.
All right, that's another critical success. So a normal person here would have no idea where these tracks go. They'd see them kind of just fade off into the distance, but you have a keener eye for these things. You know how a criminal thinks, perhaps because you have to live life as one, as a drow in the more derelict parts of Spire. And these tracks lead directly to hold up, a street whose name is faded. The street sign is actually faded and covered in what seems to be some kind of like green goo. But a keen eye would notice that the name here is called Uncanny Alley. And this place makes the hairs on the back of your neck tingle and stand on end. You seem to hear whispering between all of the houses here, and they're all just mangled and strange because they're all just covered in these growths, these same white fungal growths. You can hardly tell where one home ends and the other place begins. This place is kind of like quarantined off, so to speak, from the rest of the works, as due to a lot of the Spire white infections that happened here. But the whisperings kind of carry on the wind. Sinister. Sinister. As the word sinister is whispered here.
Like Chaos's stance will become much more guarded as he approaches the area, kind of feeling this eerie vibe about it and seeing what terrible shape it's in, even relative to how bad everything else is. It somehow manages to stand out still in its poor quality. But it'll try his best to see if these tracks lead anywhere specifically into here or not. Trying to get a good sense of exactly where to start looking if he does in fact need to do so.
And normally on a success, I'd say that your trail would end here as the uncanny alley begins to wear on your own mental fatigue. But with your critical success, I'll give you a bit more direction to work with here. The track itself seems to wind through. You can see the remains of perhaps footprint imprintations on actual fungal growths that cross the entire alleyway here. It's almost like walking through a field or a dump or some combination between, as just there's no actual road here anymore. And as you walk further, these voices continue to just haunt this place. But they all begin to shriek in unison as your ears begin to just bleed, they feel. I need you please to roll a resist plus occult roll here, please. And if you have neither of those skills, it'll be one die.
It'll be one die.
All right, roll that one die and tell me what you get.
It's a 4.
A 4 is a failure, which means you're going to mark stress, and I'm going to inflict upon you 4 points of mind stress, as your mind is shattered from the psychic shriek that happens from the souls that haunt this place. And how much stress goes unallocated total for you?
Okay, so I do have 1 mind resistance.
Yep. So you get to put 1. You can kind of check off that box as it's now used, and you'll have 3 now left over. So I have to roll under a 3 now to see if you suffer any fallout from this. And roll a 4, so you're safe now, as you're able to shake off the psychic scream from this for the time being. Though this miasma seems to roll in further and further. Just this miasma of sick death in the air that hangs. But you can see where in the distance, perhaps where the trail leads, it's this building. It leans against another, for its architecture has been molded away by this spire white fungus. And that's where your trail ends upon seeing this building shattered and destroyed. It has what seems to be no visible entrances from this aspect.
Yeah, seeing where the trail stops, I'll kind of note how he got here. But I think that proceeding alone right now, especially given what just happened, is probably not incredibly wise. So I think I'll just make a note of where I went to get to this place, marking it and kind of making a mental map of it in my head. And maybe even like taking one of the cigarettes, one of his last 3, out of the container and like dropping it nearby this building or something, or finding a nook in the wall to put it into or something, just in case he needs to like look around for it and the fungus changes the environment enough that it's like not obvious. But once he does that, I think I'm gonna try to head back so he can come here with backup if he needs to.
And before we switch scenes once again, as you're walking back, you hear something skittering across the ceiling of this place. But your eyes cannot glean where it is. It's hidden in the long shadows of this unlit, uncanny alley. And so, Saren, you've come back to the hideout, yes, after your investigations, and so too have you, Iskandar, and so too you, Lycaos. Wexen, do you go back to the hideout with your information, or do you pursue it further after talking with Snub-nosed?
I will head back.
All right. And as all four of you convene in your own time spans to the hideout down at the Deep Works, we'll go for our break now. Five minutes? Is that a good time? Sure, 5 minutes. And then we'll get the game continuing to go. Until then, go get yourself some drink, go to the bathroom, get some snacks, and come back ready to explore the strange city of Spire once again. All right, we're back to the Spire. And all four of you have convened back in the deep works, down in this little derelict, half-ruined building that is your own hideout, rented out for free to squat in by Sol, who has his own now exploded workshop up Spire in the actual works itself. But like Chaos, when you walk in, you are haunted by that growth of Spire White in the corner of one of the rooms here, the one that Sol himself kind of pointed out, saying, "Oh, you might want to burn that out," after going to a whole district taken over by the place, and the echoes of that screaming still in your mind from it. But all four of you now are here to trade notes, to share and discuss, and to plan further yet still.
Well, Snub-nosed was as slimy as ever, but he was a little more on edge this time. What's more, little shit stain had a weapon, and I'll hold out the bullets. He had a revolver and bullets. He said some knobbly meathead gave it to him up in the tunnels. From up in the tunnels.
Yes, that is courtesy of, the Church of the Gun, so Brother Mateus tells me. They have been handing out weapons to the Gutterkin.
To what end?
They treat them as some sort of converts. I believe that is as much recognition as Gutterkin have ever gotten. Plus, getting a weapon is not a bad thing either.
For who?
Well, who knows?
The
Sorry.
city is teeming with them. They're everywhere. In every corner, under every dwelling, there are Gutterkin. And if they were all armed, it could be chaos. Chaos can be useful.
It can also be painful and deadly. We have a bunch of crazy things running around with a lot of firepower. It's going to cause problems. Maybe those problems will be useful, and maybe those problems will be bullets that are inside of us.
I, too, heard the word, sorry. Brother Mateus, too, heard that word, Noblies. United? There's some sort of group that's forming of these Gutterkin. I've never seen them. I've never heard of that. Gutterkin forming some sort of large group.
Sounds terrifying.
That is how the aelfir think of us. There are millions of us. They think of us as Gutterkin. It's no different. We should be kinder to them than they are to us.
Look, I'm no Gutterkin. It's definitely different.
Oppression is oppression.
Only if it's of people. I see what you're saying. You're a softy, Iskander. But it doesn't sound good, all these Gutterkin running around with weapons, nonetheless.
Yeah, like Chaos will pull out a cigarette and begin smoking it, kind of taking a wide arc around where this like white fungal thing is on the wall now, suddenly like much more averse to it than he was just earlier in the day. So did any of you three actually find out anything about what we're actually supposed to be looking into? Either the investigators or the attack? or did you just,
The brother of the gun had nothing to do with it. They like Sol.
Orifon knew nothing of the explosion, or it seems that he thinks that it was Gutterkin, but he always thinks it's Gutterkin. That's the scapegoat. He did, however, tell me of a Malak dealer that we could speak with, who may know, have connections with the Gutterkin.
Have any of you ever heard of people's skulls and brains being surgically removed or otherwise precisely taken off people's heads? Just out of curiosity.
The perversions of the Fae never surprise me.
I've seen many things done by the aelfir. Why is this odd to you?
Well, just because the victims of the explosion, their charred bodies, they were missing from here up on their skulls and their brains. It was too clean to be the explosion. It's definitely on purpose. Oh, and I also found tracks leading out from the explosion to a specific place. So I guess I'll do the work here.
Cockiness does not look good on you.
What specific place? And surely we can all agree it was my plan.
He won't even realize that he's doing it, but he'll scrape flecks of dried blood off the side of his ear where he had bled from these screams of the damned that he had suffered through. Well, it's not exactly. It's a little untoward, and I say that knowing where we are currently, and even still, it's pretty bad. And he'll kind of point idly to the white fungus. There's a place not too far off from the factory. This stuff's covering it, top to bottom, side to side, the whole thing, littered with it. And when I tried to walk up to the building that the tracks led to, I heard these ear-piercing shrieks. And just kind of shake his head. Again, sort of flecking at where blood had dried at the edges of his ear. I didn't want to go inside by myself, but I marked it so that we'd know just in case.
Now this sounds like a story I can get behind.
Having the brains removed also does not sound like Gutterkin. It seems planned.
It's too precise. The bodies, they were workers?
They were charred to bits. Tough to tell, but I'd venture that's a safe guess.
Could there be something interesting about their brains? Something that someone would want? We could talk to Sol, see if he knew who the victims were. Find out if it was personal.
The stealing of a brain does sound like something that the aelfir would do. Why would they come all this way? Stage this explosion, they could just take them.
They have to have easier ways of getting brains if they want them than blowing up a factory down here in the works and taking them off bodies.
What about the humans? They like poking things.
They do enjoy their experiments and their technology.
In the universities and stuff, is it like autopsies and things like that? Like, are they allowed to use bodies and things, or like, is there like a black market for providing bodies?
There would probably, I mean, do you have the academia domain or the crime domain?
I have crime.
You'd know that probably someone would be willing to buy a body. You know that for sure. The more intact, the better. Whether it's alchemists, the academics, the religious, especially the what are they called? The morticians, perhaps, would buy one up, or even some crazier person like a blood witch might even want to buy up a corpse, among other more crazed individuals, nonetheless. Still, so yeah, the corpse would be a prime thing to sell if you know the right people.
So I just wonder, like, it seems so specific to take the brains exactly, as opposed to the whole body.
My guess is that it probably wasn't just some common criminal, even if you were selling people in that sort of shape. It seems like you would take the whole thing. Why sell only the brain? You can make so much more just by selling the entire thing. Save yourself the trouble. Plus, common burglars hoping to sell black market supplies. Would they even have the tools to make that kind of cut? Like, I can't imagine you can cut a human skull like just with any normal knife. Like, I imagine you need like special tools for that. I don't actually know, but
You need a saw, right? Like a bone saw or something.
A brain holds memories, ideas, what makes a person them. Lately, that has been very attractive to humans. The idea of changing someone. There's a group of them called the Intelligence. I don't know much, but they have a particular interest in the brain. What makes it tick? Could be something.
Where are they? Wait, Saren would know this, I guess. But yeah.
Where are they?
It might be worth going to them, telling them that we occasionally have access to bodies, and if they're interested in purchasing some of the parts of those bodies, we could probably facilitate that, just to see if they're interested in, if they have any specifications for the delivery of what they're looking for. It would point to them.
But how would we'd have to go to them with some sort of credibility. I don't think they would act very kindly to just 4 strange drow come up, hey, would you like some bodies? Like, but I'm not sure.
I could publish a story in the furnace asking to see if anyone has any information. There's always people looking for a bit of publicity who are willing to give some colorful quotes. Sifting through whether they're telling the truth or not is usually a little difficult, but might be some way to scrounge up some more info.
of course we do always have the option as well of me taking you guys over, following those tracks, seeing what lurks behind them, though it's potentially on the more dangerous side. We don't know what it will yield, but it is directly connected to our crime scene.
I agree. I believe it would come up with more concrete evidence than chasing more ghosts.
And perhaps that's our next step. If you can write, Wexen, something in the paper about a grisly murder by a serial killer.
I got it. Unionized workers lose their minds over workers' rights.
That's exceptionally good.
I pull out my pad, lick my pen, and start jotting some notes down. I think I can get this in on the next issue. Won't be front page material, but it'll get read.
Maybe it's worth mentioning that those brains were taken and that it was a hack job. Shoddy workmanship, really badly done. It looked brutal and unprofessional. It would weed out any sort of professional pride someone might have had in this. Make them angry, make them do it again.
Yeah, good idea. Jot down.
Will we go investigate this crime scene? He'll say, and he'll just like slip some brass knuckles onto his right hand.
I will say that we should be careful. Whatever screeched that horrifying scream, he'll kind of like itch at his ear again. They're probably still there. We'll probably have to deal with that too.
It was probably Gutterkin, he'll say, and look at Wexen, expecting him to have said it first.
You're telling me.
So all four of you are heading down to the Sol's Works, to the crime scene? All right, and now the night has taken over in this place, though, of course, the war machine never rests. That are these factories and furnaces that output literal tons upon tons of war munitions, materials, and things needed to be shipped off to the sands of the Far East, where there's an active war going on between the aelfir and the gnolls themselves. But all of that is just background noise. As you're standing over now the crime scene, you've slipped past the corded area. Standing in the soot and the rubble, you see the charred corpses, each in their own resting spots, and they've been their head scalped, the top of their heads removed, defiled in that way, and the rest of the workshop seems somewhat intact, with some machinery still probably operational, though no one is manning it right now. It is very empty.
And Lycaos will also tell everybody else about all the other things that he found. The trapdoor leading to the storage room with like bits of food and such like that down below. The tracks leading off to where he had found that white fungal area. Just all like the little details so they don't have to like recase it after him.
This is Sol's factory, right? So the storage room would have been his, or like most likely would have been his under the trapdoor. So he had some sort of cache of stuff. Why was he hiding this?
I guess I didn't clarify. What is the trapdoor actually like hidden, or is it just there?
It was veritably hidden underneath like planks of wood nailed, and in the end too an actual like piece of sheet metal that was welded but kind of broken in a spot because of the actual explosion that you could have pried open from. It was kind of just like slide it off.
it does seem strange. There's a light down there, a cot. Bits of food, but not enough to live off for long.
Was he planning for something?
Or was he harboring someone?
If he was planning, it wasn't very well. Given a disaster, that place wouldn't house you for very long. But harboring someone, I kind of get that nod of like, it's definitely possible.
I'll talk to him. We're friends.
And you do have such a way with words.
He'll do like this sort of sweeping courtly bow that he would have learnt at the start of his duels during his durance, and then sort of like look in the direction of the Spire White.
Maybe we can ask some of the other workers if they know anything too.
We'll need to discover where they... Oh, they're not allowed to drink, right? The drug is illegal now. There must be somewhere. We'll need to discover where they drown their sorrows and go and speak with them.
Depending on how many people were in this floor, other than these three, and how much the blast actually impacted, it may be difficult to find people who survived it, but if anyone did, they would make a valuable contact through all this. So I guess kind of like looking at the blast area compared to this room, like would it even be like feasible for there to have been people who were in here that saw what happened and survived?
Yeah,
Or
actually,
is
I
this
would
place?
can count perhaps the stations that are here, and through some quick estimates, you could think that this whole workshop area could house maybe 10 workers working. Though many of the stations seem to be a bit closer to this blast zone, and perhaps there's more that you're not seeing. But you recall him saying that many of his workers ended up in the infirmary too from injuries, which you would definitely know of it, like Chaos, as an orphanage and infirmary duo, where one of your bonds tends to.
Yeah, like Chaos will kind of just scratch at his neck, looking around at the damage and surveying the area. They did say they'd have some people getting their wounds taken care of. I just so happen to have a friend in that area. But we also have the tracks that we can follow, or all the other stuff.
We're here now. Let's follow the tracks.
I think that might be best in case the tracks run cold. Better to follow them sooner than later.
And as you begin to make your way, Saren, out of the corner of your eye and out of the tip of your ear, you can hear kind of the sound of a soft door being opened and closed after unlocking and locking it. The sounds of footsteps, and out of the corner of your eye, you see obscured in shadow, a silhouette of a person who seems to be carrying a bundle of something, though in this darkness you can't quite see who it is, of this actual factory itself, of Sol's Works.
And you said that all the workers would have gone home, so this would be very odd.
Absolutely.
Saren mutters under her breath, no more than a whisper, "We're not alone."
Immediately, like Chaos is going to try to find somewhere dark to hide, so that in the event that this person is going to cause trouble, that he'll see the other three of them, and that he might be able to get the jump on this person if that's needed.
Following like what I imagine is a routine at this stage, having worked with Chaos before, I will see in what direction he goes and position myself so I'm facing it, and then go, "Oh there, who goes? How's your family?"
Oh, Didn't think to see you here at such a late time of the night. As Sol walks into a kind of a beam of light from some luminescent shaft of light that comes from some, factory up above. And you can see that he's carrying like a bundle of some kind of sackcloth. It's kind of stained, perhaps of grease or some other fluid on the bottom. He's kind of like holding it as if it were some, dead weight baby, perhaps.
I'll sort of put my hands together and like pull the brass knuckles off and put them in a pocket before like I open my hands again. So, friend, come. We're investigating. We do have some questions.
He puts down his bundle on one of the workshop tables beside him, and comes to approach you, empty-handed now. But he kind of like wipes off onto his, the back of his shirt and his trousers, and you can see him full now. He's Sol in the way he is, with his scar and his missing eye and all that.
Just wondering. You didn't mention the mutilation of the bodies.
The what? And he kind of like looks over and like has to like force himself to not gag as he sees a charred drow with half of their head removed, and like, oh dear Lombre.
The skull is half missing.
Oh, that's dreadful. Ugh.
You didn't know?
No, I didn't know. No. God, that's... Do you smell that? Ugh.
Yes, it's unpleasant. Who was staying in the cellar?
Cellar?
Yes, the cellar.
What cellar? We don't have a
He'll
cellar.
just like turn his head to the side a little bit with that sort of like, don't do this to me, Sol expression.
Okay. There's a basement in here. This does not leave this place, all right?
Of course, we are family.
I'd be carted off to prison or something worse if they find what's down there. I met her when I was offshore. No, not offshore. Off Spire. And brought her back with me. Fell in love. They can't know that she's down there, all right? Please tell no one.
There is no one down there.
Of course there is.
So
Let's not talk about it anymore. Just please don't say this to anyone else.
who is she, Sol? Why can no one know? She's not one of us.
No. I'd be hanged or rent limb from limb or sedated or something for her being there. A knoll.
I think that like Iskander is well trained in keeping his expression of one of like neutrality, but even so, I think his eyebrow probably raises. And he's also like smart enough to not look in the direction of Lachias no matter what happens until he wants Lachias to kill the person he's talking to. And so he's not going to look in that direction, but I think he definitely thinks like he didn't mention that there was a knoll in there. I see. It's pretty heavy business, so.
I love her, okay? She's my Malja. Just please don't tell anyone about this. She's safe there with me. She's the reason why this workshop is able to compete with all the other factories there. Just
okay.
Keep her safe. Just
I won't tell anyone, so.
No, if anyone finds out, you'll be out of a place to live. So I'll be whisked away as a war criminal.
Well, we don't want that. We're family. What's in the bundle?
food for her. Wanted something fresh this time around.
Uh-huh. Can I see it?
Yeah, you can. And he'll like walk over to where he placed the bundle and wait for you there. He's not going to bring it to you.
Yeah, I'll walk over with him. Just hoping against hope that it's not 3 drow brains.
And you open it up, and it is some kind of raw flesh. You can see it. It is not brain. It is these 4-legged crows, they seem to be, but they're massive, perhaps the size of a small dog. They've been they've been feathered, so they just these basically 3 uncooked turkeys, but they have 4 legs instead of 2, are in this bundle, and the grease and blood of it kind of are seeping through the bottom of the sackcloth bag.
Are these baby mega crows?
Yeah. Caught fresh from New Heaven.
Are you allowed to eat them?
Our stomachs wouldn't handle it, no. And they aren't the cheapest, but...
Okay, so Iskander will look at Wexen and Saren to see if they have any questions or things they want to ask before he lets Sol go.
Listen, do you just want to meet her? Will that just quell your minds?
Yeah, so I think we might want to pick her brain a bit.
All right, Sol will say. And he'll go over to that place where the trapdoor is. He'll move aside those pieces of wood, kind of slide across where the metal would be, as if this is routine. He knows exactly how to shift them properly, and it seems like there's almost no effort involved. They're almost like laid out in a perfect way for there to actually be grooves to do it at all. And he kind of knocks, kind of stomping on it with his foot in a pattern, and then would begin to open it, and he'd find that it's locked. It kind of clangs again. He kind of goes, and there's some time to wait as he looks around, kind of confused, but trying to as if oh no, everything's under control, is kind of the face he's making, but out of desperation.
Chaos will real quick as Sol's down working on the trapdoor, make eye contact with the scanner, and just kind of do the eyes around, basically signaling you guys go down there. I don't want to reveal myself to Sol yet here, so I'll watch up here to make sure nothing goes wrong, assuming he can even get the door open.
And then there's a heavy shunk sound underneath the trapdoor, as if a bolt is being moved. And it kind of pops open, and he just lifts up the trapdoor, and you can't quite see it from this angle. But he goes, come on down, as he kind of carries the bundle in one hand. It's almost falling out the back as he kind of climbs down the ladder with his other hand. There's some people here that want to see you, and I felt like that was the best way for them to not talk to anyone, that you exist. I know how dumb that sounds, but listen, they're the people living down in the deep works, down my old home. But go easy on them, all right? You can trust them. You'd hear him say to someone that isn't you. You'd hear a loud growling sound. All right. Who follows down into this hole?
After you.
Yes, after me. He'll do that sort of motion again, as if he's adjusting a button, but he'll slide the brass knuckles onto his, as if that's going to help him, onto his fist, and then shove his pocket or his hands into his coat pockets, and then begin making his way down.
Saren would would go next, and she would pipe up. When is the last time you saw the bodies?
And you're saying that to Sol?
Yep.
And you've gone down, right? Or are you staying up top?
She's like on her way down
All right.
as she says this.
Well, I saw the place, the moment I heard what had happened, and I mean, I didn't look at the bodies that closely, but I was there within the hour that it happened.
You didn't see that they had a lack of the top of their head?
Didn't catch my eye, no. That's a surprise to me. But none of just this is Malja. I care for some coffee. He would have like a tray of freshly brewed Nujabian coffee. The only thing taken from the war effort, or one of the things taken from the war efforts in the sands far to the east from those knoll lands. A brew of some bean that heightens your senses and helps you stay awake when sleep would grip you. Something that's caught on quite well with all of the workers, especially here in Works, for keeping them alert during the long, grueling hours. And towering beside Sol, and Sol is a tall man, a tall drow. Towering beside him is a hunched gnoll whose body is like a misshapen hyena given the ability to walk on hind legs. In their hands is this contraption of what you assume would be a rifle. It's got probably 3 barrels that could fire our Mistress from it, a scope, some kind of bayonet on the end, just this massive ordnance. Looks all to be handmade and welded together. I see them now, he growls. And it hasn't put down this gun, but it's not like pointing at anyone. Sorry, hon. Had to be safe.
Skander will sort of like do the pocket flip again and take the brass knuckles off and like show that he's taking them off and put them into a pocket and say, "Hello there. How's your family?"
Dead, thanks for asking.
Mistranslation. It's a thing of our people.
And like Chaos, as the trapdoor had kind of like been lifted and the air kind of allowed to circulate, you were hit again with that rank, mangy dog smell. Seems to be just full force emanating from this area. And the 3 others, all of you also smell it just emanating from this hyena person. All right, so you've seen me. You get to gawk at the freak.
I'm going to ask you a question, and I would like a direct answer.
Yeah.
There are 3 corpses outside, charred.
Yeah, I heard it from down here.
Did you hear anything else? There was their corpses have been mutilated.
All right, well, that explains the strange sound I heard afterwards. Perhaps a few hours after the explosion went off. Thought it maybe one of the workers coming back just to finish something off quickly, but it was the sound of machinery just whirring at it.
Machinery?
A high-pitched hum.
Did you hear any voices?
No, couldn't hear any from down here anyways.
Other than the machinery?
No. That thing was loud probably to get through this floor.
You don't, it's quite a large blade at the end of that gun.
Just laugh. The Noel just like laughs at that.
I'm not trying to be offensive. I know your people eat a lot of meat. And you've been here for some time, it seems. You didn't. And I point up. You didn't do it. You didn't take their brains.
I haven't left this damn cellar in 6 months. And then like Sol just like, it's just easy. I know. Listen, it's safe for you to be down here. That's the safest you'll ever be. I mean, I love you, Malja. And just like, kind of like, just does a weird like head shake, looking away. You can see kind of like the snarling. You can see all this, the teeth. And they just yellowed because, you know, it's a knoll. No, I didn't do whatever the hell you're talking about up there.
He's right. This is the safest place for you.
I don't even know why your people came.
Sol and I are friends.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. Back home. Why rain death on us? Why?
It's the aelfir, right? Not, like, I mean, it's not our drow from home who are fighting the war. It's like the aelfir fighting the war, is it?
Drow are the soldiers and the aelfir are the generals.
Okay, yeah.
So the gnolls would see that the enemy, you know, the actual foot soldiers are all
Gotcha.
drow, all like wrapped in many scarves to hide their skin from the sunlight, and it would know their flesh after seeing the dead.
Our people don't want to be there.
It's a fucking mess. We don't want to die either. We don't want it to kill you. Everything was fine.
No one wants to kill. Not really. Only the Fae. They enjoy suffering. He'll just sort of like muse to himself and like stare around the place. Not really, like now just going in this like spiral, thinking about the horrors of their masters.
All right. Well, you guys head out. Well, you guys leave now. Just fuck off, all right? You've seen me. You've riddled me with questions. Just want to drink my coffee and get to sleep now.
Saren would look up to see if there's any sort of hole or anything that would reveal the upper floor.
And you look around, and if you want to be like really obvious about just searching the place, there'll be a different question here. But are you just kind of like, is it a subtle look or like actually like thoroughly searching the ceiling?
No, it's very much just a subtle glance.
Yeah. After a casual glance, it seems very obvious that this cellar here, or the cellar door or trapdoor, it seems like entirely the only entrance or exit. But you do see a small pipe that would perhaps bring in fresh air, at least from outside. Whether the outside of this building even is fresh air, deep in the works. There's a small ventilation, maybe two little pipes that would lead from this room, each no bigger than maybe a coin in width. So even the runtiest of gutterkin wouldn't even make it through there.
And it would go to the outside, so like away.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. So you've seen her. Just this does not leave this place. Please, just for her safety and for mine.
What's your end game here, Sol? You can't keep her down here forever.
Well, I didn't want to leave her and her me. Brought her back with me when I was smuggled her into the Spire when I was called back from the war after serving my time. Surprised I haven't caught on to her yet. I'm glad. I'm very glad she's safe here. Get to see her beautiful face every day. You too.
You're flirting with death here. You're
Never
gonna find her.
All the things they tell you about gnolls, all of it's lies. It's propaganda.
Oh, I'm sure it is. But that's not going to stop them from taking her out and you out if they find out.
Well, they won't find out as long as you guys don't say a word. Please.
Do we know the lifespan of gnolls versus drow?
You have no idea. And if you
No
had an
idea.
idea, it would probably be a lie set upon you by the aelfir. Perhaps something like, oh, they breed like rabbits, and if one of them comes into the Spire, they'll flood the place with younglings in the matter of a decade, or something like that. Some dumb propaganda.
I'll flip my notebook open and take a few notes and say, you'll have our discretion.
I assume that means that you can tell the others who are interested in our spot that it is and will never be available.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, you're right. Fair trade.
We wouldn't want to blackmail you, so you're a friend.
As you literally have something to blackmail him with.
Yeah, but I'm just informing him that we're not blackmailing him.
Oh,
We
yeah,
just
of course not.
potentially could.
Right, well,
Because we're friends.
I don't want to stymie your progress on figuring out who the hell did this and what they want. Just an honest man trying to make an honest living here. If whoever's there comes back for a second time, I don't know, the whole place will go down under. And that's just terrible. Dire news. Plus, those workers. Think about the workers. They're good men, paid with good coin, made by things made here. And as he says that, you realize that there's also like a miniature workshop set up in here, kind of hidden in another room, where perhaps the gnoll herself works. Well, I won't hold you, please. And then he realizes he's holding a bundle of meat, guess what I brought? And opens the bag to her. And she just her eyes just light up in that weird just the way a wolf would look at a young deer who's broken their leg and trying to scramble away. That's the look that this gnoll gives this bag of feathered birds. As just snatches the bag up and kind of in the weird gait that gnolls have would bring it over to this slab, and with the cleaver just pulls out one, cuts off, starts butchering the meat with a huge cleaver on a bloodied cutting board.
With that sight, Saren would turn to leave.
Yeah, Iskander too will leave, though definitely still has in his mind that the force with which she's using that huge cleaver could easily have separated the head from, or the top of the head from the other half.
Yeah, you can hear the cleaver sink into the wood, and she has to pull it out of the wood again.
Yep, but he's hardly gonna confront her here in this tiny room, so he's gonna get out as well.
And as you're leaving, you hear kind of whispering, the most keen of sense of you. You didn't actually do that up there, did you? No. As you finally leave this trapdoored place. And you stand amidst the rubble again of this ruined workshop. What do you guys do from here?
Wexen will carefully close the trapdoor just to kind of give them some privacy, and then turn to Iskander and Saren. This is going to make one fucked up love story. This is great. And I'll open my notepad and, write down some notes.
No, it won't. Love.
Oh, I'm not going to put anything specific in there, but think about it. No woman betrays her home to work for the drow, falls in love with the drow.
What interaction did you just witness? Were you in a tiny room with a huge gnoll? Did you interact with this creature? Did you see actual, genuine love there? More people she has to hide for fear of what the aelfir will do to her? Do you not see any parallel in your situation and hers?
No.
Chaos will slink out of the shadows from where he had been hiding, seeing that Sol did not come back up with you guys. Just kind of shake his head. Not to mention that even if you don't put any details in, if you even hint at the possibility that there's a gnoll anywhere in this entire city, you don't think for a second that they're going to have this place swarming, trying to find out where and why and how? Whether they find it or not, it's a bad scene.
Yeah, but the aelfir are going to eat this shit up. Think of how many papers we could sell.
Yeah, eat this shit up along with half the city and people that they're going to kill trying to find out where this thing is.
Think for a moment, then. Just for one moment. Just for 1 second, once. Follow me on this train of logic. 1, you post a story in your paper suggesting that there is a gnoll somewhere in the city. 2, the aelfir discover this story and they follow the trail of where the paper is and who wrote it. 3, they find you, they torture you continuously until you reveal everything that you've ever known about the gnoll, about the ministry, about everything else. 4, we're fucked.
No one really believes this garbage. It's just something to keep the mind entertained.
It only takes one aelfir to believe it.
Not to mention, who knows if they'll even need to torture you. They could probably just pluck it right from your brain.
At that, he'll kind of shudder. All right, he'll take the piece of paper that he took notes on, rip it out of his notepad, crumple it up, and here, burn this, and he'll toss it to Lycos.
Yeah, Chaos will take the end of the cigarette that he's been smoking and try to use that to stoke some sort of tinder on the page until it'll light enough for it to take, and we'll burn it to ash.
And that ash joins the ash that you walk in. Is your next direction following the tracks to Uncanny Alley, where Chaos had gone before?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Unless anyone else has any priorities, I think that's where Chaos would want to go.
And with that, as you follow Lycaos down the path that he's walked before, he's able to recognize, oh yeah, I remember this, this derelict. Oh, I remember this beggar asking me for a few sten. As you come to the place, Lycaos, where you knew that there was a signpost of Uncanny Valley, dripping with a strange ectoplasmic slime, there is nothing there. Nothing of the sort. In fact, the whole alley that you had walked down is not here. Though you see exactly the things that should have been here as well, It seems as if this place has been picked up by some unseen hand and perhaps dropped elsewhere or just hidden away where the eye cannot see. Instead, what you see is just another run-of-the-mill street with more factories flanking it, each their own war machine of goods kind of spilling out, and poor drow trying to catch just how much is just falling out of these massive conveyor belts in these big bins. And after they fill the bins, they got to ship them off on a wheeled device and get a new one to catch all the stuff that's pouring out. But there's nothing. No uncanny alley, no ectoplasmic slime, no spire white growths that break down buildings quarantined off. No psychic screams, no whisperings of sinister. No things skittering on the ceiling. Thus, we're going to end our session tonight as you look to see no uncanny alley. Quite uncanny. And so we wrap up, and I guess that was Spire, at least the first session of it, looking into the intrigue and all the tools and things available to kind of try and crack this case that is the humdrum of Spire. It's been a good playing, and with that, unless anyone has any parting words, we'll end the stream here. And Megan, you can do so then. Click that button, send us to the next panel. Thank you everyone for watching, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. No, in some number of weeks.